So there may be a video recording at the end, there may not. We're still working on technicalities. But welcome to Dedicated Digital Learners. It's NCC's professional learning network for emerging educational technologies. Some of you know me already. I'm Gina Sipley. I'm taking on a new role within Distance Ed as a coordinator of emerging technologies. And got a little hashtag, if you're into hashtags somewhere, hashtag DDLNCC. And the Dedicated Digital Learner program is really this emergence of faculty and support staff who want to get together as a professional learning network and to look at tech tools. So, as far as the mission goes, we're an interdisciplinary cohort of NCC faculty and staff who explore emerging technology tools and share best practices for pedagogical and professional tech tool integration. So just by coming today, you're learning about it. If you decide you want to join us, that's great. If you don't want to join us now, there'll be opportunities where in the future, maybe with your schedule, you might find that you do want to join it. And the DDL NCC is working in concert with the Emerging Technologies MOOC through the SUNY system. So the official name, Exploring Emerging Technologies for Lifelong Learning and Success. And they have a hashtag MTechMOOC. This is a project I've been affiliated with for almost the last 5 years. When I started at NCC, there was a SUNY Tools and Engagement project, and over time, that evolved into this MOOC. And it's an opportunity initially to connect with other people across the SUNY system, to share the tech tools that you are learning, and to see ways that people use these tools in courses that are maybe a little different from your own. Now, in terms of the MOOC, over time, the program continued to grow, and the desire to keep more people connected and involved meant we had to move to a larger platform, and we moved to the Coursera platform. And I'll explain about MOOCs, I'll explain about all of the technical parts in a moment. But as a dedicated digital learner, you have options. One is being a listener. Now, too often in technology, we call these people lurkers, and I really hate that word, that you're lurking online, you're lurking on Facebook, you're lurking on Twitter. But lurker is really just another word for a listener. And we learn a lot by listening. And sometimes people want to jump right in right away. Other times you may even have a strong desire to jump in, but you're too overscheduled. So the option to be a listener is not a passive, non-participatory position. It's actually a very rich and active position. So if you are not able to make a time commitment right now, consider being a listener in on our conversations. And then when you're in a semester or a time where you do have a little bit more space to play, dive right in. Then there's also the MOOC participation, which I'll go over today, which is a 5-week commitment. But the nice thing about the MOOC is that you can stop and start when you want to. We're having our first cycle coming up October 8th. But if you are 2 weeks into it and then you say, my life got crazy, I can't finish it, you can pick up on our next cycle exactly where you left off. So by starting now, if it works for you, ideally we'd like you to finish in 5 weeks, but we know life happens, so you can stop at any point, pause, and then re-pick up exactly where you left off, just like a movie on Netflix. And these are your options as dedicated digital learner. You can do both, you can do them separately, but more importantly, it's not a one semester thing and then you're done. It's about lifelong learning. So what we're hoping with the dedicated digital learner cohort is that this is a process that evolves over the years, over all of our professional developments, that you lean in and lean out as necessary, but that you're part of this larger ongoing conversation about what are these cool tools that are out there, because any tool I show you today is almost obsolete tomorrow. New tools are coming out all the time. So what tools are hot now? Do they work? How are other people using them? And if you're in a place and a space in your coursework where you're willing to try and ready to try something new, you try it. So that's how the dedicated digital learner options are gonna be for you. You can be an active listener, or you can be a MOOC participant, or you can do both. Well, let's talk about what's a MOOC. So understanding MOOC philosophy is essential for you to be able to understand whether or not this is something that you have time for right now. So MOOC is an online course, but it's different from a traditional online course. Traditional online course is available to a select number of students who have met the administering college's admissions requirements and have paid for the course in exchange for college credit. So essentially, when you teach an online class at NCC, those students have already met our admission standards, they have already paid for the course, and that's a transaction separate from you as the instructor. It's got a firm start date, a firm end date. A MOOC is different because it's open to anyone with internet access, and they do not usually offer college credit, but they're often endorsed by colleges. So for example, Harvard has a really robust MOOC program. If you're interested in taking Japanese at Harvard or Python programming at Harvard, you can online, mostly for free. You won't get college credit for it, but many, many people are doing this. People who are professionals, but also people who are students trying to figure out whether or not they could actually make it at Harvard. They test out these MOOCs ahead of time before they go through the college admissions process. People, we teach an article in our basic ed English class about prisoners who want the opportunity to take MOOCs. Wouldn't it be great if MOOCs were streamed to the prison system? So you have people from all walks of life, from all over the world, engaged in these courses. Now, some of the research that I've been doing with the MOOC team in preparation for an article that we have under review at a journal right now is looking at sort of the history of MOOCs. So initially, they were sort of the CMOOC when they first came out, about 2005. They were connectivist. It was all construction. Instructionalists, if you think about your educational philosophy, they were decentered, they were learner-centered. The idea was that a college like University of Manitoba, where the first MOOC comes out, they just did this as an experiment with their class. Like, let's see how many people we can get to join in on this topic because it's so interesting. But by about 2012, that's when you start to hear the word MOOC and across popular media, and sort of dubbed the year of the MOOC because Coursera, edX, Udacity, they had these massive, massive enrollments of 1 million students for a course. As you can imagine, as an instructor, that might not be the best, most ideal learning environment. But the first generation of a MOOC was connectivist. Let's just get as many people together interested in a particular topic. The next generation was about massiveness. How many people can we get enrolled in this particular course? But now in 2016, we're interested more in the hybrid MOOC. This idea that you want these connectivist strategies, but you want to reach a larger audience. But we're also interested in how do we make that an effective educational experience for the people enrolled. An MTech MOOC, the MOOC that is offered by SUNY, is a hybrid model. And MTech MOOC globally, you've got 45% of the participants are in North America, 25% in Asia, 18% in Europe, 5.9% in Africa. And as you can tell, it's not, when we say it's a global MOOC, it's not really global. We don't have representation in Latin America or in Oceania. And if you went further and you dug deeper into which countries are represented, it's not an even balance. But this is typical of the larger trends of MOOCs. So when you take this course, there will be other faculty from the SUNY system, but there will also be people from all over the world that you're taking the course with, which is kind of cool. And although as SUNY faculty, you are able to take this course for free, other people from other parts of the world are paying to take it, and they may not have a college degree. They may be a PhD. It's a wide spectrum of people. What we know, what we know statistically about MOOCs and these long-term studies on them by Chang is that only 6% of all enrollees complete a MOOC. And that's because there are, like I said, thousands and thousands, sometimes even 1 million people in a course. But what's interesting is that 32% of all enrollees tend to identify as a teacher. And that 16% of those enrollees do complete. That there's interesting data that teachers complete MOOCs more often than any other demographic. And also that teachers are serial MOOC addicts. So they want to take a lot of MOOCs. They sign up for things like foreign language and computer science and history of the Cold War and Russian literature. And it's this wonderful opportunity to take as many things as you want for free. And then as the MOOC starts, they realize, maybe this is not for me. So they sign up for a lot, and then they pick the one thing they're really interested in and go deep. So that's, the overview picture of the MOOC. And we've had several people on campus complete it. at the Weeks, who couldn't be here today. She wanted me to give her her plug for it, and she said, I took MTech MOOC in July, August, and learned a lot. It was definitely a great eye-opening experience for me, and I intend to continue expanding my tool bag in order to make my online courses increasingly engaging for my students. So Ethel's completed it, Nicole Simon's completed it, Brigitte has completed it. I'm trying to think who else. Off the top of my head, I'm missing a few, but there are at least a handful of other people on campus who've completed it already. But even though they're done, they still want to be involved in dedicated digital learners because they know the technology is continuing to evolve and they want to improve upon their e-portfolios and have conversations with others. So here are some of the ways that you can join in and the levels of commitment you can consider. So one is if you decide that you're going to join in on the MOOC, you would enroll by October 8th. At the end of our session, I will send out an email to everybody with the link so you can click on it directly. And the key here, though, is that it's paid for you as a SUNY employee, so you have to use your SUNY credential. You have to use your NCC email to not be prompted to the payment page. You would enroll by October 8th, and I will, in a moment, I'll toggle over to the MOOC to show you the breakdown, but it's essentially 5 weeks. Like Nicole said, you can spend 1 hour if you want to, which is, I mean, like if you ran all the videos and you read all the readings, it would take you an hour, but you might spend more, or you might spend a little bit less if it's something that isn't as interesting to you and you're just kind of skimming it and scanning. So that's the MOOC, and the idea is there are these sort of cohorts. So if the folks who are interested in the MOOC sign up for it, we will all be in the cohort together for the next 5 weeks. Then there's these dedicated digital learner events. So one's our launch party today with the coffee and the Italian cookies. And our next event in October is gonna be a VoiceThread intensive. VoiceThread is a software that we have here at Nassau that you have free access to. And what it allows you to do is really enhance your curriculum, adding audio and video, and you can use it both for online but also face-to-face courses. And we'll have in this room an intensive with VoiceThread so that as you're building out your e-portfolio, which I'll say more about in a minute, you can get the skills that you need. You don't have to use VoiceThread for your e-portfolio, but it's such a neat service that we already have access to here at NCC that if you want to learn more about it and play around with it with some other people in a low-stress, high-fun environment, this would be the place to go. And then at the end, that was fun, wasn't it? So November 9th, where is going to be our last session, and that, there we go. So November 9th, which is our last session, would be sort of our e-portfolio celebration. So people who have completed the MOOC will come and share their e-portfolios, but I don't want to discourage people who haven't completed the MOOC from attending, because I think the point is that active listening is a huge part of the process. So even if you don't finish the portfolio, even if you don't enroll in the MOOC, but you're free on that Friday, come over, have some more Italian cookies, watch everybody's, look at everybody's e-portfolio, get a sense of what's possible, and then maybe next semester you come back and you build one of your own. Or you go out and you spread the word to other people. Because that's how this is going to work. If we're really going to help and support one another in trying new things, you're both going to be actively participating in creating things, but also actively listening and observing what other people are doing. So in terms of what you will learn if you decide to move forward with this, if you take the MOOC, the course outcomes are that you're going to explore emerging technology tools for professional and pedagogical integration. So tools that will help you as a professional, but also in the classroom. Because many of us, we actively are engaged in our scholarship. We're writers, we're creators, we're musicians, we're artists. So being able to showcase the work that you do professionally in your discipline, but then also to showcase the moments in the classroom, the projects that students are doing, the work they're doing. And this is also a way that if you create your own e-portfolio, you can model it for them. As if you work with students who are going on the job market, having an electronic portfolio of your work is essential for getting hired in this type of job environment. So those are the course outcomes of the MOOC, or that you're going to explore new things, you're going to build an e-portfolio. Now, MTech Wiki is this amazing tech tool that was developed by the founders of the MOOC. And again, I'm going to send you the link to that in the email. But Wiki is sort of, if you think about Wikipedia, it's this site where anybody can go on and add information, delete information. But essentially, it's this repository of all the hottest tech tools. And what has not yet happened, but is happening, is in the process of right now, is people can vote on things if they're using them. So you can get a sense of a peer-reviewed, as time goes on, people from across the SUNY campuses and across the world who are taking the MOOC, which tools they think are the most effective and why. And when you're involved in the MOOC itself, you'll be identifying things for your course that might be of interest. So for example, when we talk about the MOOC, the first section is on lifelong learning, the second section is on communication and collaboration, third section is on creativity, and the fourth section is on critical thinking. So the tools then are organized around those like tools that we think could best be used for communication and collaboration. And you can kind of scroll through and check off things that you might be interested in. And the thing that what Nicole Simons had said that I want to encourage too is that something about the MOOC environment, the idea that we're all together doing it, and you're seeing what other people are doing, that gets you excited about other tools that might apply to you in the classroom. So let me see here. So you've got the MTech Wiki. And then the idea with your ePortfolio is that it evolves over time. So when I first started here, when I applied for my job, I shared this ePortfolio here with Chris Berg, who's the chair of my department at the time. It's part of my application process for the job. And, you know, I was teaching middle school and high school at the time, and it's a little, which one is it? This one. I built it on WordPress. It was fine for the time. I have my teaching statement on it. I had my resume. I also had some of the issues I was interested in, sustainability and equity, and I had examples of projects I had worked on with students. Now, the one that I currently use is a little bit flashier, but it's also a little outdated. So I'm excited this semester to go through and update it alongside you. This I use the Strikingly site, and I have more digital projects that I've worked on personally, but also with students. And I have, you know, times people have cited my work, like I put that in there because it's both what I'm doing in the classroom, but also myself as a scholar and the work that I'm doing. For this course, I made one too, and I want to show you how basic it is compared to the ones that I actually use when I'm professionally out in the field, applying for jobs, applying for awards, etc. I made this while I was on the MOOC, and it's not awful, but it's not great either. But that's because I had 5 weeks and I was in a crunch and I was putting it together. And that's where you might find yourself in that 5 weeks time putting together a portfolio that's kind of basic. But then come back next semester, add to it, flesh it out. And over time, your portfolio is going to evolve to reflect where you're going in your scholarship, but also the exciting things you're doing in the classroom. And I encourage people, if you're not on LinkedIn, to get on LinkedIn and to use that as a way to feed your portfolio, because it allows you to remember what you're doing, I think. And there are many options also on LinkedIn to share your projects that you're involved in, and then other people can see them who are networked with you, and it breaks down the walls of the classroom. It breaks down some of the barriers to the outside community seeing what we're doing at NCC, because we do really great work here. And when you think about the perception, sometimes when people listen to the media, you want to show them the good stuff that's really going on. So here we go, back here. Okay, and then if you choose to join us, you're able to get recognized in several different ways. So if you complete the MOOC itself, you'll get a digital mastery badge from SUNY. You'll also get a Coursera certificate of completion, It's endorsed by Binghamton and Buffalo. You don't get credit from Binghamton and Buffalo, but it's got their stamp on it. And then for every event that you come to as part of Dedicated Digital Learners, you can get up to 3 certificates. The idea is that we'd like to be able to use Zoom in the interim time between our Dedicated Digital Learner meetups for folks who are involved in the MOOCs, so we can stay in touch with one another and to share information or questions that you might have about it. There will also be, I'm going to microblog a little bit week to week and share it with the larger NCC community, some of the tools and some of the things that we're learning. So you can, if you decide not to enroll, you can kind of listen in on email and then see some of the things, some of the projects that we're working on and see if this is going to be for you or not. Here, okay. And then this is my email and my Twitter handle, if either of those are of interest to you. I'm gonna take a pause for some questions and then I'll show you, I'll bring up the MOOC and I'll show you some things related to it. Okay, so I guess there are no questions. Okay, great. Yeah, so the syllabus for the course is online. What happens, the first section of it is all about lifelong learning, and a lot of it has to do with growth mindset versus fixed mindset and evaluation of your growth, your fixed mindset. And this, I would say, and it says that it would take you, 40 minutes to watch all the videos. You have 7 readings and a quiz. Depending on your mindset going into it, it might not even take you an hour to get through the first section, even though they have 2 hours marked for completion. Part of what you do at the end of each thing that you complete is you leave a comment and then you see what other people have commented. It's kind of like we do on Blackboard sometimes, where we block the post. And then sometimes people spend a lot of time on the discussion board talking to other people, and sometimes they don't. And after you've completed lifelong learning, the next section is on communication and collaboration, and it's an examination of tools that help you communicate and collaborate with others. So for example, Zoom, being able to video conference in. Then in the creativity module, that's going to be about the time where we'll be with VoiceThread, and we'll take a look at some of the ways that you can take whatever content you're teaching in your class and create audio and visual experiments that you can share with others. And then the last week is the critical thinking, where we talk about not just, it's cool to use a lot of tools, but how are you using them? What's the purpose behind them? What do you expect students to be able to do when they are analyzing not just the tools, but the content and the media that they are evaluating with those tools? The last part of this, the last section, is the creation of your e-portfolio. So everything that you explore in those middle 3 weeks, you build into your e-portfolio to say, these are some tools I looked at, here's how I use them, or here's how I plan to use them. And then at the end, we'll all come together and we can share what we learned, sort of in a science fair, slideshow, et cetera. Yes?
So are these, I know it's over the course of those 5 weeks,
yeah.
Are they available at set times, or are they all available at once?
That's such a great question. They're all available at once. So if you just have a lot of time one weekend, you could plow through a couple of days. Or if you find yourself falling behind, you have 1 week where you're just totally stressed, you could go in the next week and do 2 of them or 3 of them. And if you pause, if you say, like, I've completed modules, 1 and 2, and then I had a crisis in my life, I had to stop, the next time we roll this through, which I think is December, January, you can pick up again at that 2 to 3 week mark. And you don't have to wait 2 to 3 weeks into the cohort. You can just pick up when the course goes live again and finish. That's such a great question. Other questions about this? Okay.
So the timing is, when you're saying about it goes live again, so if you stopped at that point or you did this, there's nothing in between now and then the next session starts?
Well, what happens is that there are live human beings who are reading and evaluating all of the work, so they take a break between the sessions. So once the session times out, then they're on respite, and everything is frozen. And then when the session starts live again, then you can pick up exactly where you left off, and somebody is checking the grade book and making sure you're completing all the assignment. Another good question. Any other questions about how this might work? Okay, great. So what I want to be able to do now is if people want to sign up or you want to explore anything on the wiki or talk to me about it, I want to leave this time open for you. Otherwise, what I'm going to do is with the attendance list, plus I've got a whole list of other people who couldn't be here, I'm going to put together a mass mailing. I'll send you all the links. I will also send you a doodle, which is an organizing tool to see if you're interested in Zoom conference because you're joining the MOOC, what days or times might work for that for us all to join in together. And then in the next week or so, through the all faculty account, I'll send out a microblog about what's going on, what we've been learning, and if you're just interested in listening, for now you listen, and then maybe next semester.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great job.
Thank you.